introduce and welcome Angelo Karelis to give us his presentation this morning. Angelo is a partner in Deloitte in their consulting practice, and he has been working in the area for 17 years, 17 years of consulting experience, and has specialties in advising and leading large-scale business transformation and reform programs across industry sectors at both local, regional, national and international levels. Angelo leads the program leadership competency in Western Australia, including business transformation services, enterprise application, ERP and CRM advisory, shared services advisory and strategy, and operations advisory. He's obviously a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, but he's also a member of the ARCD and the Australian Institute of Management. He has an MBA, a Master of Accounting and Finance, Bachelor of Commerce, Company Director qualification, and Advanced Management Program. So please join me in welcoming Angelo, who will give us our presentation and then be very happy to take some questions at the end of this session.
What I'd like to do over the next 50 minutes is to share with you our views on the 20 key issues as IT as a strategic partner. What I plan to do is, we've broken down the paper into 5 key themes, and my presentation is structured around each of those 5 themes and some subtopics within those themes that are hopefully relevant to your business. But I'll first begin by sharing a story about how technology is affecting us and the pace of change. I've got a 2.5-year-old boy, Joshua, and he loves my iPod Touch. And he knows how to turn it on, slide the slider across, tap the YouTube icon and flick through his favourite Wiggles videos and watch Wiggles on the iPod. He is 2.5 years old. Now he's what I call a digital native. By the time he's our age, he will just assume technology is that sophisticated. And as business leaders, we have that challenge of understanding how can we leverage that technology in our own business and make it work for us, given that it's rapidly changing, the pace of change is incredible, and at the same time, particularly as a commercially focused audience, we need to drive value out of that technology as well. So I want to take you on a journey over the next 50 minutes to really outline some of the key trends across those 5 themes. So the 5 themes that we picked up on our paper are strategic alignment, information management, IT effectiveness, and there's 6 sub-themes within IT effectiveness which will take up probably the bulk of the presentation. Then agility and innovation and operational efficiency, which is quite important as well. So let's start with strategic alignment. The three sub-themes under strategic alignment being the business relationship with IT, so the business and IT alignment. The IT governance, ensuring what you've set out to do, how much money you're going to spend and what you plan to deliver is actually what's going on. And also driving value out of the business. And those 3 subtopics really need to come together and align very heavily with your strategy as an organisation. Now, in my experience, I've seen a lot of organisations do this well, but recently kind of struggle. And one of the things that we're seeing at the moment is the relevance of the CIO in the business. They're under enormous pressure to maintain pace with the rate of change that's going on within the IT industry and sector. Managing security, managing data, protecting privacy, social networks that are now creeping into the day-to-day lives of your employees and so forth. It's a major challenge. So what I'd like to do is just touch on these 3 for the next moment. So if we start with business and IT alignment, really what's going on is you've got a hare and tortoise situation. Now imagine if the hare and tortoise are on the same side, trying to achieve the same objective, and if you compare that to business and IT, in one way or another, your business is either bouncing along ahead of your IT department, or your IT is not keeping pace with what's going on in the industry in terms of how to leverage that IT investment with value within the business. And so you've got this constant tension going on between IT and the business, and trying to join them together. The fundamentals and the old school thinking was that you start with a strategy at the top, You then look at how the strategy drives IT, and then how IT can support the business. Sounds logical, but what we're now seeing is that it's the other way around as well. So there's this reiteration going on between IT helping the business, but IT bringing to the business and informing its strategy. So you no longer have a situation where it's a top-down, one-way type approach. It's got to be reiterative. Because, again, if we look at what's going on right now, the power of social media, as one example, it can topple a president of a country. So if you can harness that sort of power within your business, and you do it properly, you should be informing your strategy, your overall organisational strategy, to leverage the power of that. Imagine a football team, the Eagles or the Dockers. Who's an Eagles fan in here? A couple. The rest Dockers, are they? How would they use social media as a professional football club with a member base that drives value out of followership in their members? So, there's all sorts of innovative ways that the power of this technology we can harness, along with our core business applications. So if it's banking or if it's oil and gas, there's a whole raft of other technology that is at the heart of the core business that needs to start to align better with supporting the business objectives. And the best summary I can give you is that analogy up on screen, in that you're trying to get these two players working as a team effectively on the field, trying to shoot the goal or kick the goal, whatever it may be. So that's what we feel is the challenge on business and IT alignment. They're happening at such a rapid pace. So I'll just touch on IT governance for the moment. Now, IT governance is, again, in my experience, I've seen it done well and I've seen it done very poorly. And a lot of the key factors come down to how well organisations actually understand what's important to their business, and then prioritising the fact that you've only got limited capital funds to invest in IT type projects. And as a result of that, you need to prioritise what sort of projects you might want to initiate in your business that are going to give you optimum value. Now, that needs to happen like clockwork in terms of the organisation has rapid change going on. It's a constantly moving and dynamic feast. Then you have IT trying to actually support that in tandem. So it's a little bit like changing a tyre on a moving car. How do you govern that? Well, you wouldn't have the driver getting out of the car and trying to change the wheel at the same time. You'd keep the driver there, checking the speed, checking the temperature, etc., etc. But really what's needed is governance needs to happen like clockwork. And for every change that occurs within the business, it needs to be flowed right through to ensure that that change is understood through every part of the business, and it permeates every division, every project that's on the go, and the change is understood in terms of scheduling those things, the scope of the projects that you're doing, the functionality that might be developed, whether it's, say, a reporting type issue, if it's financial reporting, or if it's a customer relationship management system. There are many attributes that businesses need to apply to get that decision making right. Now, that's all well and good at an academic level, but in the real world, we're busy people, there's limited funds, we sometimes don't have the right people, and those right people sometimes have their day job to do. So this is hard. This is a hard and big challenge for organisations today to face up to and deal with it. But one of the key value drivers around this is to eliminate waste. And governance goes to the heart of eliminating waste. Because if you can manage your scope, you can manage your schedule, and you can manage your resources in terms of any initiatives, any change initiatives going on within your business, generally you can try and get the most out of the budget that you've got to spend in terms of your IT investment. And that's where governance comes into play. IT investment value, I'm sure that image resonates with everybody. IT more and more at the moment is becoming redundant quicker. IT more and more is becoming cheaper and more accessible. And so under the backdrop of having cheaper and more accessible IT and it becoming redundant very quickly, there's again a little bit of tension between what decisions do we need to make, how much risk and investment do we need to take in terms of the IT supporting our business. And again, I I've probably had 10 mobile phones in my lifetime. I'm sure you're in a similar boat. It gets redundant very quick, and the power in your fingertips on that stuff right now is very different to even 2 or 3 years ago. 10 years ago, my phone was that big. So, in terms of the driving IT and value, it's becoming more and more important around the customer focus as well. So customers now have much more information at their fingertips, much more power and much more influence and say on how the organisation interacts with that. And so we're seeing a trend of IT investment moving from back office, so accounting systems or databases, to more front office. So what is the customer experience occurring in terms of your web channel or your portal or an app on an iPhone? How is that now affecting how we do business in the marketplace today? And so there are some fundamental questions that the paper asks in terms of how do we actually drive value out of the business. And when you combine all three, if I come back to the Venn diagram just here, if we combine all three, it really goes at the heart of actually aligning IT with the strategy. Just conscious of time, so I'll move on to the next bit. So we'll touch on information management